And now we're in the studio with two physical guests for a change. We have Veijo Hytti, CEO, Keto Software, and Teemu Tunkelo, CEO, SSH Communications Security. Gentlemen, welcome to the studio. You're going to talk about secure your innovation data in digital times. But before that, one question each, and then, of course, after your presentation, we come back here for a few Q&A. For a short Q&A session. But Veijo, question to you. What are the main focus areas in innovation and development today exactly?
Okay, thanks for the question. First of all, I have to say that people easily forget that companies are spending huge amounts of money in R&D and I. I means innovation. And it's double amount compared to marketing and sales. So it's a huge investment. And what we've seen from our customers that when I started my career in marketing 25 years ago, we started to talk about digitalization. And I think the first leap is still there. So we are still...
Yeah, we still talk about digitalization.
Exactly. And it's so funny when I happen to live in Switzerland and when I meet customers there, it's like time travel 25 years backwards because they are really like, it's not a decade, but they're probably 20 years behind. Not all of the companies, but quite many. So the first kind of a leap is still there, and it's huge amount of money spent in digitalization projects, especially in the service companies. And you can have different names for the same thing. You might call it Industry 4.0 or whatever, but mainly it's about the same thing. And then what is now rising a lot is sustainability. Yeah. Because the only way to do profitable business in the future is through sustainable business models. And that we've seen, and I think Finland is there also leading the world. We see from our customers such as Metso, Outotec, KONE, those companies, industrial companies, they have a huge emphasis on sustainability.
Yeah, it's definitely not a buzzword anymore. So that's...
Yeah, exactly. It's not a buzzword. And same comes with the digitalization. It's building new businesses. It's not only digitalizing businesses, but building new businesses. And I think that the future, what this war in Ukraine kind of underlines is that the human approach. So we are not robots. And as we see in working remotely, we are still human beings. And I think that's the next leap. And also there, we in the Nordics, we are way far from others, especially if we talk about Asia.
That sounds good from our point of view. Teemu, as Veijo mentioned, the war in Ukraine, how has that affected the information security industry? A lot of talk on cyber.
There's one significant, actually two significant changes. One is that the main media talks about cyber warfare. That has made it public what we do. We do at SSH only defensive cybersecurity. And what we have seen in the market is that the industrial companies that Keto also serves are getting worried about their critical infrastructure, their data, and they can see that if electricity doesn't work, if water doesn't work, and if it can be stopped digitally, that's a threat they have to react on now.
Hey, good. We're going to have, as I said, a Q&A session after Veijo's and Teemu's presentation. So I want to encourage all you in the audience to be active on the chat, as I will then pick up your questions to ask Teemu and Veijo after the presentation. But now, Teemu's and Veijo's presentation, secure your innovation data in digital times.
Hello everyone. welcome to join our presentation of Secure Your Innovation Data in Digital Times. And we are also happy to launch today our new security-focused productization called Keto Zero Trust Edition, together with SSH and Teemu.
Hello also from my side.
Okay, let's get started.
So, what does it mean to have data? There is a lot of data, but terabytes in your systems. But what is critical of your data? Do you know it? That's the first step in looking at the maturity of understanding what is data that has financial value or risk value that you have to take care of. Then the next question in today's world with clouds is getting more difficult because where is the data? Is it in our data center? Is it on my laptop? Is it in a cloud? Whose cloud? In which country it is? Do I know where the critical data is? Then if the data is somewhere which I cannot control, who can access my critical data? Who are the people? Where are they sitting? And what elements they can use to get access to my data? And last but not least, where are the keys? I think we all lose keys, physical keys easily. Typically, at least my wife always tells me where my keys are. Passwords. I hate systems where I have to change password every month. And managing these things in digital world is still largely an unsolved problem, because if in your house your key is lost, you would redo the locks for the new keys naturally. What if you lose your digital key which you can't even see? You have to be able to manage the invisible keys and passwords in a way that it keeps your data safe.
Okay, so now we are talking about the most critical data you might have, and we are focused on R&D and I data, meaning research, development, and innovation. And what is the difference between just to make sure that we are on the same page is that innovation is not an idea. Idea is 1% of innovation. Innovation is something that you can buy, product, service, or partnerships. And it's in the marketplace. So now we're talking about the real stuff, the sweat and tears when doing stuff. So executing the ideas. And like said before, there is a huge amount of money spent in R&D and I. And what is also meaningful to remember is that the future business will be more and more based on innovating new stuff, because the existing business is killing faster and is dying faster and faster. So like you see in the picture, it's normally you can buy companies to make your business grow, but then you need to innovate to really make your brand best in the market and highest valued. And so could you imagine any other data that you want to really keep safe than R&D and I data? And it's not enough to have, like we have this ISO 27001. It's good documentation and good process, but I think we are not taking that seriously enough at the moment. So we provide transparency and measurability to all of that data, but I think the security is now becoming actually the most important what comes to R&D and I data. So as you see, the global innovation management market, or R&D market, is growing fast because of the factors that I told, and it's really 2 times bigger than the marketing spend. So we should take it much more seriously. And if I ask any global enterprise CEO that how much are you spending in R&D and I, and what are you expecting to reach, I think none of those people can give me a precise answer. If I ask about marketing investments, they know exactly, because they spend 2/3 of their time in go-to-market and 1/3 in development, which is also a bit scary.
And if you think about the challenge with innovation, is that it's different than before because of digitalization. Because what is important for me in a car today is adaptive cruise control. The engine is good enough. What is important for me with my watch is that it calculates my steps. And to be the first mover and protect that idea that makes you the first mover is a key opportunity for you to keep the leadership in the digital age. And this has been widely studied, and lately also the President of the United States has said that you have to stop thinking about city walls or castles, because the digital cannonball can come anywhere. So you cannot anymore have the wall and inside everything is safe, because most of the cyber crimes are done with somebody inside the castle. And the other key thing are the digital keys. So fixed passwords are not allowed. It's even better if you don't have passwords. This, on the right-hand side, the guidance from the budget office of White House is saying that you have to get rid of keys that can be stolen. You have to have biometric recognition of the people, and then the system will take care of your access rights based on your role, rather than that you could have a dongle or a PIN code or a password that you could lend to somebody else. And that's what Zero Trust is all about.
I couldn't agree more with Teemu about this, and that's why we are doing a new productization. And I can tell you, we have by far the most modern and user-friendly tool for managing innovation and development. But now it's going to be also the most secure tool in the world. And it's called Keto Zero Trust. So no keys and passwords needed. In the center, in the cloud, in the Keto cloud, you see some features and applications that we are normally providing to our customers, how they are utilizing the platform. So we are gathering a lot of data from the organization from one place, so that they have one place of truth for all of the innovation and development data. And it's going to be the most secure place in the future. Normally, our customers have challenges such as lack of transparency, because the data is all over the place in Excels or anywhere different kind of tools that they might be using. So it means poor predictability, inefficient reporting, and it's impossible to make good decisions and good insights from the data. And now what's on top of that is uncontrolled access to critical data, and like Teemu said, it's manually managed keys and passwords, which makes it really complex and unsecure. So our solution is that you get really full transparency for the first time to all of your R&D and AI investments, which are, like I told before, mainly digitalization and sustainability investments in the companies, which also are related very often to cost savings, because sustainability goes hand in hand with cost savings. So it's also good for the business in that sense. And it helps you to optimize your resources. We have several customers who have thousands of people in their R&D department globally. So having one place of data for all of the R&D people, resources, investments, it helps you really to make good decisions. And now we are adding the passwordless access, and everything will be automated and full audit and access trail, like in our software for the data currently we have as well.
There are two major topics underlying this change. The first one that has been happening already for many years is that because of digitalization, more and more of R&D work is done by third-party companies which are not even co-located. And now with COVID, even if they would be co-located, there's a lot of people working outside your company's walls, and it becomes mandatory that you have just-in-time access, just enough access for the people, that you know who did what, when, in order to protect your data, because your data has more value than oil today. And if we then look at the development of keys, there are 3 generations going on with the development. The original key is Secure Shell Protocol, which was created 20 years ago, which doesn't have a best before date. You have the key, it works always. You have to manage it in order to know where it is. Then with web, we got TLS, SSL certificates, which are familiar to all of us when you use a web browser. That has a maximum time of 825 days, almost 3 years, which creates a risk. What is going to happen? Who's going to use your key in the next 3 years? Zero Trust, as said now, has come to the point. Zero Trust key is automatically renewed every 5 minutes. So you have 5 minutes lifetime, and the user doesn't know the password. The user is identified, and based on its role, it gets access. So there is nothing you can lend to your friend or nothing you can write because you don't have a password. And since it's audited, we know who did what when. Not the content of the data, but who got access to the data. And on top of the Zero Trust, the other megatrend which is coming is post-quantum cryptography, which means that when quantum data computers come, you need to protect your data, because already today people can record your data transport in the web, and when the quantum computers come, they can open it afterwards. And that's why it's critical to go to the quantum safe environment where you know that your data is in safe hands all the time.
Thanks, Teemu. I think we are ready for questions.
Yep. Thank you very much. The guys are back in the studio with me again. Hey, just to cap things a bit. So securing innovation data. I mean, we are used to securing all sorts of things from cyber threats, but a few words still, concrete stuff on to wrap this up. So why is innovation security so important compared to other sort of parts of security? Why the emphasis now on innovation?
Innovation data is critical because it's time sensitive. So if you lose...
And time sensitive means?
Meaning that if your competitor finds out what you are planning for next year. For example, I was meeting with Daimler in Germany, and they were worried about their drawings for the new S-Class Mercedes. Because if that data would leak, they said probably the Chinese can make faster new S-Class Mercedes than they can do in Stuttgart.
And on innovation, there's much more emphasis on innovation today than what it was 10 or 20 years ago. So that's why it becomes more important to secure as well.
Yeah, because that's the differentiation is time dependent. If you take cruise control, adaptive cruise control, now everybody has it. Who had it first? And what is the next new thing that's going to come out? So the time sensitivity of innovation data makes it something that you really have to control. And the challenge with the data is that it's all digital, so you can steal it even if you are not in the same country.
And talking about these cyber threats, so for business organizations, so what sort of threats, based on what you now said, so what sort of threats are the biggest at the moment, and where are we heading? What do you see for the nearish future?
I would say that traditionally banks have been very hard on data security because we all have internet banking, and that's something kind of it's mature. What is changing now, and as mentioned it partially because of Ukraine, is that there's a lot of stuff that the digital world can stop the physical world. So harbors, airports, factories.
All critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a question for the audience to still sort of summarize 3 key takeaways for our audience today. So where should we start? 3 takeaways.
I could maybe start. The first one is the maturity model of your protecting your innovation data. What is the critical part of the innovation data? Where is it? Who accesses it? Where are the keys? If you can answer these 4 questions, then you are well off.
Yeah, that's a good list.
I think brands have huge value.
And the brand part, a company's value, so the brand part is also much more expensive and worth much more than what it was in the 60s and 70s, for instance.
Exactly, and what I was about to say is that in early 2000, people said that brand equals to image. Today it equals to experience. And if you can't bring in the future the best experiences for your customers,
there is not much brand value.
How can you differentiate?
Yeah.
It's not enough to run great advertising campaigns anymore. Yeah. So you have to develop something really that attracts people.
Yeah. And still time for the 3rd takeaway shortly. Which is it from your presentation?
The 3rd topic is certainly that you have to focus on managing the safety of the data. So to say, to wrap the data in an environment where it's safe. And that goes very well in this new world where everything is digital. You need to know who uses it, who can use it, and you need actually an organization that focuses on it. For me, I used a long time ago at ABB, we were implementing ISO 9000 quality system, which was completely new at that time. Now everybody has it. Now Keto has 27001 critical infrastructure, and the next step is zero trust. Get rid of the passwords.
Teemu and Veijo, thank you very much.